like say coffee cup or something, or
Maybe we should give something to the person who's the 20,000 subscriber.
How could you locate that, Patrick?
Maybe a box of tacks or something. Patrick.
Oh yeah. I could go far with tax. You are such a gift giver. Obviously, your wife doesn't let you near the Christmas list at all.
Well, there's
right?
a fellow on YouTube who got 100 million subscribers, and guess what he got for his 100 million subscriber?
Oh, I don't know.
Guess
I
who
remember
they won?
What?
An island, an exotic island in the middle of the Pacific somewhere.
Well, we have a back parking lot here. I don't know.
The closest I can get is a puddle with a sailboat in the back. Is that
we
right?
could do that. I mean,
anyhow, so we'll get to that. But Facebook forum, how's that doing, Jimmy? Is that?
I think we had another 6 people this week.
Wow, that's pretty good. If all those people are subscribing, but it always doesn't work that way, does it? So if you're a Facebook forum person, and you're getting some good advice from that forum, and Jimmy, you answered something this week which I thought was good, and I followed up with an answer. Please do also subscribe to the YouTube channel,
yes.
Right? So it doesn't always happen.
Those have some, if you're starting out with upholstery and you want to know some basic things, right there.
Yeah.
I mean, very simple. I said, wow, okay, this is okay.
24 hours a day, too. You're always on that thing. You're always okay.
Before I go to bed, I'm like, wow, somebody else, who the hell, why would they want to subscribe?
But, subscribe to the YouTube. Join the Facebook forum like everybody else seems to be doing recently. It's 6 to 10 a week or something like that, Jimmy?
Yep.
That's pretty good. What was the other piece of business? Oh, this is a question and answer live. So if you have a question, please, or an answer, if you can answer, if I don't have all the answers, Jimmy.
Well, you say you do every time. I mean, my God, you walk around here with your, we got to listen to it.
We should remind people that I didn't go to acting school, and Patrick didn't go to the Steven Spielberg career, how to make film. I mean, this is all pretty well, we're educating ourselves as we go along. The only reason I mention that is because we did get a negative comment about the filming in one of the YouTube comments.
We'll find that person and take them out.
And I have to remind people, we have a channels when they get a certain age, they have a history. So our first video looks far different than our most recent video, for sure, with the equipment and also our experience,
Experience?
And we don't delete videos. And we have not deleted one video, have we, Patrick?
No.
And so we're not embarrassed by those early videos. I think people have told us not to, because they like to look back to see how the channel has evolved.
Oh yeah, I mean, you may have found an earlier technique that you may not use now so much.
For sure. We did a handheld the cameras. That's what we used, right, Pat?
Yeah.
In the beginning. Phones, telephones, Jimmy. Imagine that.
Imagine those personal held-out cameras. They still have them.
Right.
But I mean, I can compare it to what you have now, which is,
right,
from this to that.
I know. Well, we have at least 2 cameras going. We have different angles. Patrick sometimes on the online classes, he'll move the camera to get like maybe 1, 2, 3, and overhead. Sometimes 4 different angles on the online classes. On the YouTube channel, we don't go to those extremes on the YouTube channel. So people should know you are getting the YouTubes for free.
Yeah.
So it's not that
but
we
there's
don't
a good starting point for a lot of people.
It's a great starting point, and people have used the YouTube videos and they've learned upholstery through the YouTube videos, which is remarkable to me.
Yeah. We'll have to, when we get to 20,000, we'll have to.
Well, 20,000, we're going to buy that. We're going to get that little sailboat for the puddle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Maybe a yacht. Maybe a yacht.
So let's get to the Facebook, because I know that you're really excited and anxious. It's the highlight of your week, these YouTube
and it's only Monday. After this, depression will set in, I can tell you that.
Till next week. When you'll bring that cloud of depression with you.
Yes.
You wake up, Jimmy, in the morning, and you look up, and depression's looking down at you, and it says to you, I'm going to get you today.
Yeah, and not before I jump out of bed.
You got to jump out of bed.
I don't. I gave up on that. I don't jump.
No, you got to jump
I
out.
could hurt
You
myself at this stage.
You got to face the day and upholster. We got to keep in the terms of upholstery because this is an upholstery channel, right? So when you wake up, the first thought you have about is webbing a seat. Is that right?
Actually, if I have my own shop or something, I would probably, yeah. I would.
Do you ever dream about upholstery, Jimmy?
No.
Don't.
I'm still. The lottery dream is reoccurring a lot. I'm not sure if that's a sign of you're a loser no matter what, or you just maybe there's a sign that there is a winning number down the road.
Don't worry. Most people who hit the lottery and win millions always regret it, and we regret it that they won.
I don't know if I could. I mean, some of the it's amazing. You know, what amazes me is how people can go through like $83 million. How do you do that?
Oh, you could do that easy.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you're talking about what? A Cadillac Escalade for $90,000.
3 houses and all that stuff.
Be practical, man. Come on. You want that money to last a good 20 years.
At least.
So
let's get to the Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, and we have Julie. She's got a longer, questions and answers questions here. Help, please! Exclamation point in all big capital letters. This is my first upholstery project and I need advice. I'm getting ready to reupholster 6 antique dining room chair seats. I guess they're considered slip seats. I have removed all of the old stuff. I have a piece of plywood that is cut to fit down into the chair frame, making the seat level when the plywood is inserted. I have purchased 2-inch high-density foam, cotton, muslin, and fabric. Specifically, I'm wondering whether to roll foam edges under when stapling. I don't know since it's only 2 inches. But based on the videos I've watched, it seems to give a more finished appearance. I plan to initially place cotton in the middle of the plywood, then foam. Should I put a layer of cotton on top of the foam? Also, should I cover with muslin before putting upholstery fabric on? I have cambric for the dust cover. I have quite a bit invested in materials, so I really want to do this properly so I can be proud of the finished product. Any advice you have to offer would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to read. As I read this, it's almost like if I were a mechanic, I'd be getting a inquiry saying, "Help! I have the spark plugs. I have the transmission. I have the starter. I have the fan belts.
Yeah, the lights are out. It only turns on when this happens."
I'm just kidding, Julie. It's not as bad as that, but you have everything but the skill, and that's why we have the online classes and the YouTube, right?
Right. What else? I mean, we could actually have,
But she's got a lot. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot to answer, and I'm not sure if I'll try to answer her. I'll try to take it through the steps in my mind. The first comment I have is that plywood is okay to use as a base, but keep in mind that the best slip seat base is a frame rather than a flat piece of plywood. That doesn't mean that the job is not going to come out great. It's just going to have a different feel. It's going to have more of a firmer feel. Believe it or not, webbing, when introduced to an open frame, it doesn't look like it, but it offers some bounce. Mm-hmm. So it's a different feel. But it doesn't mean it doesn't. And we'll get to yours, Jimmy. We have Jimmy's project up here, his online project. But it doesn't mean that she keep the plywood, because some dining room chairs, even antique dining room chairs, they didn't have plywood. They had what they called them. You ever know what the layered wood is? The little veneer pieces of
Luan.
Is that what they call it? And they kind of layer it to come up with before plywood. They would layer these small pieces of wood in the antique chairs.
Side by side, kind of?
No, on top of one another. They'd glue them on together, like little pieces of veneer. There'd be 5 of them.
All right. When my father refinished the dining room table and chair set he did.
The tables are different. They do have little veneer, right.
But the chairs themselves, he redid. It was a good... it was more than a 1/4 inch of plywood.
Yeah.
As strong, because he knew that, these are going to be sat on, and especially the way they were going to be used. And it came out great.
Yeah.
I mean, but you need a strong ply. Think about the people sitting on it, even though it's only once in a great while. Right.
So she's all set with I'm sure she's got the thick enough plywood.
Now, where's she coming from?
What's that?
Where's she from?
Doesn't say.
Well,
So she's got all the material. So her idea at the first over the plywood is to staple. You staple like an oval shape piece of the cotton on there, feathered out. Then she could put her foam over that, or 2-inch foam. She can cut it just slightly bigger and start on the back. And I show on YouTube, you take your thumbs and you kind of fold the bottom part of the foam and staple from the top to try to get as smooth of an edge. You do not use edge roll on slip seats. You do not use edge roll on slip seats. So the foam has to take place of both that.
Okay.
So you take it, you fold it, and staple it like every 2 inches or so. And she's asking about muslin. Muslin, we've been getting a lot of questions about muslin lately. And to muslin or not to muslin is the question, right? But with any beginner, muslin is a good beginner's tool, because you can make all your mistakes on the muslin. You can stretch out all the divots in your muslin. You can pin tack like crazy with the muslin,
right,
and then staple it, and then come up with a really smooth seat, because the foam when you staple it has these little divots in them.
Right.
Okay, but a professional upholsterer could just not cut out the muslin step and just go with the cotton, and as long as it's feathered properly. A professional upholsterer can get all those old divots out while they're upholstering with the fabric. But if most people, beginners, should start with the muslin. It's a great tool. A lot of people teach that way in classes. A lot of upholsterers teach. They make people do muslin everything. And I don't teach that way. I like to teach, as a professional upholsterer would upholster it. So after she gets the muslin, yes, she's asking about the cotton. She could take the cotton over that, feather it, make sure she feathers it. Do not leave any machine cut edge of the cotton. And then she's going to take her fabric and cut it 3 inches bigger, like we do, and then she's going to pin tack it like crazy, starting from the back to the front, the back to the front, and the sides. And if she's satisfied, she can staple it. That's pretty it. That's a fast lesson. I hope that helps Julie. But we have a slip seat video, Patrick, I'm sure, on YouTube that she can look at too, right?
Yeah.
So Julie has this question. When using a muslin, this is another question she has. When using muslin covering over foam and cotton batting on slip seat bays, is it necessary to stretch the muslin over the padding? And I just answered that, Jimmy. So it's not. It's only necessary if you're a beginner.
Right.
And then Miriam, she has a picture. I should show you this picture. This looks like a piece of Swiss cheese, Jimmy, but it's a piece of wood.
Oh my God.
And she says, I have an antique piece that was recovered multiple times. The frame is like Swiss cheese. I think staples will hold, but there are some areas where there is not much left for the staples to grab. Should I fill the holes with epoxy? Any tips would be appreciated. Thank you. You know, when I first started in the shop that I had, they used wood glue, and they just went along with the wood glue. And the reason I think wood glue is better than epoxy, I think, doesn't wood glue, Jimmy, have better flow than epoxy?
Yes.
So that the flow brings it into the hole deep. And we usually just left it overnight, because it does take a little bit to dry. And the next day you'd have a nice clean piece of wood to work with.
Yeah.
It's not clean, but...
Well, you could make it better than what
so
it is.
So you just put the glue right in those holes.
I remember the first project I think I brought into your shop, and I tell you, I said to you, so Kevin, what do you think? 3-4 times? And I think you said to me 7. I was like,
7 times it had been upholstered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was an old piece of furniture.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe when I took all the fabric out and you finally get into the core of, the project itself with all the staples and everything, and trying to understand how people did it. But this is like, wow.
Do we have any questions, Patrick, up there yet, or comments? We're noticing the summertime is really
Well,
slow
people are still
right
on
now.
vacation till September, October.
People chiming in.
But we've
Chiming, we don't want chiming in. We want hardcore questions here. Come on.
We have been solid with these question and answers.
Yeah,
throughout the
years,
summer.
years of sweat and trouble and toil.
Yes.
You know.
Here, Deborah.
Hi.
Malcolm.
Hi, everybody. And Jimmy, we're going to get to Jimmy. He's going to do the YouTube now, but we're going to get to his class that he took today. The shop is a mess. We went right up until
It
the
wasn't,
4 o'clock.
yeah, and I didn't even get my iced coffee again. You
I
guys
know,
are obviously
well,
way behind.
Maybe someday.
Yeah,
And Jimmy got. We're moving along in his chair. We'll talk about that in a minute. But why don't you get to the YouTube?
Okay, so this is from Growing Together in God. This is the live upholstery, the question and answer. How do I get started in upholstery? So I think
for any beginner, I think I would say the best thing would be a one-on-one apprenticeship training, but that's non-existent, I think. The second best thing would be maybe a night class that with a group of people, ideally a smaller group of people, and that's a little rare too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if she's local, we got one. How many openings do we have for the Tuesday night class, Patrick?
Only 2 left.
Only 2 openings. So if
For
this
both
person
classes.
is local, you might want to check out Upholstery on Broadway.
Well, this person, unfortunately, I think the commute from Jamaica, even though we probably could.
Oh no, she couldn't, cause especially.
But
if
you
she-
know what? I honestly, like Kevin says so many times, the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're not upfront and hands on so much, but they give. I mean, Kevin definitely talks about the tools. He talks about how certain techniques. How to, I think do you talk about stripping down a furnace?
Oh yeah, we talk a lot, but it's interesting though. This brings up an interesting comment that I have is that I'm always not amazed, but we can never assume that if somebody's looking at a YouTube channel, that they're not looking at everything else that we have, like the Facebook forum. That would be a great place for her to go to see other people who are doing upholstery, and they're supporting you. The online classes, which are paid for, the website Upholstery on Broadway, which gives you an idea of what it's, gives you a good idea what it takes to run an upholstery shop, and with all the different aspects of that.
You can pretty much with the online classes, you can pick a certain.
Yep, she can subscribe to the whole year, or yearly, but you have bundles. Patrick's bundled some, he's packaged it up a little differently to try to make it more affordable, I think. Some people take advantage of the whole thing. Some people like the packages that he's made. Some people just take one class at a time.
Well, if you're working on it, I mean, now, the ottoman we've done, the channel back chair, which is going to be, when is that going to be coming up, Patrick?
The fall.
In the fall.
So she needs to just explore all that, and then if she's ready, if she's willing, and she's really wants to take the next step, she should go to Upholstery on Broadway to see what tools we have and what supplies we have for her.
Yep.
I don't think we can ship to Jamaica, though. That's the only problem.
Why not?
We
just might have to hand deliver that.
It's a
That would be nice.
Yeah, all right. We might have to I brought my bathing
I know where there's a
suit.
little sailboat in a puddle that you might be able to hop on.
Well, I mean, I don't do. I'm sorry, but once you say Jamaica, it's like I'm sorry.
Jimmy, why don't we take you down there? Be your first.
I've been to Aruba.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Bermuda. I've been on a nice cruise.
Any upholsterers in tropical climes?
I'm sorry, but not by the side of the road. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like far and few between.
So Libby wants to know, do you build your own horses?
Yes.
I did. I had somebody build them for me, and they did a pretty good job. And they have horses at Home Depot, which they're not as good. I mean, they're not custom to upholstery, but you can buy
Well,
them.
you have kind of like the draw.
Yeah.
Kind of like you can put screws and a hammer.
Yeah, it's really
and so-
important to have the legs of a piece of furniture to fall into the top. You
Yes,
shouldn't have
and
something
grab-
that's flat and the
Right.
pieces fall off.
Okay, the next one is from Lynn. This is the 1860s Part 6 double piping. Thank you so much for the series. I have one of these chairs, only mine has buttons on the back. I went on YouTube to see how to apply buttons on upholstery. When I saw the chair you were redoing, I started taking mine apart, only to find the same product as yours. I took pictures but can't upload them, unfortunately. I am super excited to start reupholstering my chair. My first hurdle will be acquiring the necessary tools and products needed.
Again, check out Upholstery on Broadway. If you're not international, by the way, we have shipping problems. To get back to that a little bit, shipping is outrageously expensive when you're a small business.
It's gotten.
If you're a big business or you're shipping out, you have some businesses have a shipper and receiver right on premises, and you're doing volume. You get deals, but as a small business, we don't get the deals, and
Of course
it's
not.
very expensive.
Yes.
And it's prohibitive, right, Patrick? Actually, for us to ship overseas, it's bad enough, when somebody out in California wants something from us here in this country. But check out, if she's in this country, check out our website, Upholstery on Broadway. Check out what we have to offer online.
Okay. The next one is from Stephen Hoff. Okay. I guess I'm a little late to the party, but I'm glad I found this. I am a custom cabinet builder that is tired of trying to find a good chair, so I'm going to attempt to build my own. I heard that 8-way tie was the best, and this video was fantastic in dealing exactly how it's done. Thanks. And this is the 8-way tie instruction.
So the best chair for comfort, there's been some real attempts at the most comfortable chair, and two come to mind. One is the Turkish chair, which we have a video on that, right, Patrick?
Yes.
But the video doesn't,
Series, I think.
it's not a restoration on a Turkish chair, thank God. Or is it? I can't remember. But they have springs everywhere except the outsides. They have springs in the arms, in the back, and in the seat. Mm-hmm. So the idea there, and in addition to that, they have a wire frame so that you have the feeling of, it's collapsing around you. And the Danish, they came out with a chair called a Papa Bear chair. I did one in my whole career. I've only seen one real, and not the ones. You go Google it, and you're going to see a Papa Bear chair that has arms like this and some wood on it. But the one that I did was the prototype.
Are they white?
Well, this one here was a fully upholstered chair, and it was made out of leather, and it was all upholstered. It was similar to the Danish chair, but it was a wing. It looked like a brown bear when it was done.
Okay.
And so when you sat in it, it had the feeling, and it actually did collapse a little bit around you like you were getting a bear hug.
Mm.
So those are the two most comfortable chairs that I've ever sat in. So if he's looking for ideas, there they are. Now, as far as cost goes, the labor that's involved in that is ridiculous. But what's the next one, Jimmy?
The next one is from Marion White. I am buying your videos. So cool to see the improvement of production values over time. This is such a cool form of recycling, and with the option to use natural biodegradable materials. These chairs were not designed for planned obsolescence. They are worth repairing. Every time you look at it, you will be proud, and your furniture will have a unique expression of the values we desperately need to be cultivating now.
Yeah, it's great. And when you do your own work, I can't tell you how many people are so thrilled with themselves when they do their own first project. I get a lot of people saying that they can't keep their eyes off the furniture, that they keep looking at the furniture. They love it so much. So it's a great thing. And, if you notice that older furniture has prettier lines than the newer furniture. I mean, when you look at the piece that you're doing, look at how curvy it is.
You know what? I mean, with the changes that you and I have talked about with the button and now the base of this alone, and the webbing that we're going to be doing, because I see
we're going to talk about that after you do that. I'd like to talk. You could talk about what you're doing on that.
Yeah, I mean,
because they don't have the privy. They don't know what you're talking about yet.
No,
you can review those things with them on the show.
Okay.
Sylvia asked, "How do you do the arm panel on that rolled armchair?"
Oh, there you go. You're going to see it in a little while, Sylvia. So go ahead. Make sure you mentioned it for Sylvia when you get there.
Yes, specifically for her. This is from Isra, I believe. How do you ISRAA? How do you pronounce that?
What is it?
ISRAA.
I believe that's.
Oh. Don't make fun of that.
I have no idea.
Okay. This is the Club Chair Upholstery Part 5 seat upholstery. What kind of sewing thread do you use for sewing?
Well,
is it a regular one for the clothes, or is it a special strong
It's
thread?
definitely a special strong thread. It's a special hand sewing thread that we use. It's a little I believe this. Well, I got one right here. I believe it's nylon, but this is the thing about when you're sewing upholstery. You better make sure that it can't break. And I'm pulling this really tight, so there's a
So
poly
is that
on
the
this.
kind? If I were to be sewing some certain parts of the chair, that would.
Yeah, you
that's
need
what I
this
would
with the
do.
curved needle. You know,
Yeah,
some
they-
people they try to use the other threads that you can buy for sewing that you can use for clothing. Don't use that. Even if you double or triple up on it, the pull that you have to use to close up upholstery, you're gonna break the thread
Oh yeah,
easily.
I mean, that's-
this
that's
stuff.
more of a-
Phil, how strong. that
yeah.
is.
I mean, because I've done a couple of chairs with the needle, and I like it. I mean,
It's good. It's very therapeutic, Jimmy. If you're having a bad day,
Yes, I
you-
wanted to do another 6,000 hours.
what's the next question?
Let's see. This one is the upholstering a sofa, upholstery stage 1. Have reviewed several videos, and this one is really excellent with outstanding explanations. Many thanks for doing this.
I have to remind people that we do these videos for DIY up to a journeyman, and I know that upholsterers watch them, and some upholsterers are very critical about the teaching style or the techniques that we use. But remember that they're for DIY primarily. That's how they started, and that's how we carry through. But as we go along,
how many different ways are there to be doing, buttons?
there's a very distinct. Europeans have a very distinctive way that's a little than I or Americans do. For instance, we build cakes. They call anything that we're doing building, which is you're in the process of building a cake here.
Right.
And then we're going to be adding a lot more. Our cakes, or at least the technique that I was taught and I like to teach, is the cake is built on the piece of furniture. In Europe, European, they use the cake, they build it off the piece of furniture. So if they were going to build it, they take measurements, they take a pattern, and they do the work off the chair, and then they apply the whole thing on the chair. Now, the only thing I don't like about that,
If you're wrong.
I don't criticize my European upholsterers because they're very talented. Well, they're only tacking one row of tacks in once the whole cake is made,
Right.
right? I'm not talking about the webbing. I'm talking about everything else, like the edge roll and the horsehair and the burlap. Sometimes another edge roll on top of that, like that settee that you did,
Right.
would be built off and then put on. And then they were only putting the tacks through the burlap.
Okay.
So that's the only problem with that is once those tacks fail, as the piece gets older, the whole thing fails, really.
Okay.
If you layer it, I think layering it on the piece is better, but that's just my opinion.
Okay.
So we get some comments from seasoned upholsterers who look at some of the things we do, some of the work that we do, also for the homeowner and for the DIY. We do restoration, and we also do repairing of upholstery. So a lot of the techniques are to repair something which doesn't look as pretty as building a brand new cake. So keep that in mind when you're watching the videos.
Okay. The last one's from Natalie Walker. This is on the fixing a puffed button for free. So she says, thank you very much for the home remedy idea.
Yeah, that was something we came up with. And if you didn't want to buy the specialized tools and spend a lot of money, as long as the fabric isn't too dainty, we came up with a technique. And you can watch that video. There's 2 videos on buttons. One is using the right tools or the professional tools, and the other one is using what you can find in your kitchen drawer. So it was pretty.
But it's
creative.
always interesting because, people say, wow, how they do that? Oh, wow, let's see. Oh, I love that look. And, of course, sometimes furniture itself, depending on the year, you'll have something where you'll be doing,
So tell us about catch people up on your online projects.
Well, this has become, I thought this was going to be a very kind of, let's do it over. Kevin and I looked at it and said, I had said to Kevin at the time that it seemed just like the fabric was going to be, what are you taking your microphone
Because
away
I
from?
want you to tilt this to
Oh,
show.
you want me
just
to?
tilt it a little bit to show people the beautiful job you did on the webbing.
Well, don't know about that, but
Just
yeah.
tilt. Do you need help, or
No,
am I being lazy?
Go ahead. You can explain what you did or what we did.
Do you see that, you guys? Look at how beautiful Jimmy did on that job. That had nylon webbing, which if you heard me talk about nylon webbing, I don't like nylon webbing. It doesn't have the quality the jute has. So Jimmy, just kind of hit that a little bit. You hear that, you guys?
This is as firm as you can possibly
That's like
get.
a trampoline. It has the feeling of a trampoline. It has great resiliency. That webbing. They haven't been able to improve on that for seating. For many years.
A very good technique that we did. We have 5 going across and 3 on the side.
And we did a lot of pin tacking the front to back webbings because of the angle of the webbings that we needed, and we wanted to make them even. I think Jimmy did a great job. So you want to talk a little bit about what's happened to this chair? It came when you first looked at it. You're doing this for a client. Jimmy actually now can say he's a professional upholstery because he gets paid for his work. Yeah. So you got paid for this. That means you're a professional. You took money, you're going to take money.
A lot of money.
A lot
Millions.
of money. It's going to make you a lot of money.
I'm going to franchise my name.
So you first started, though, you quoted the price of a reupholstery, but something happened.
Well, no, I mean, it's good. I usually kind of, because the experience that I've had, especially with the projects I've done, everything seems to be a total restoration.
Yeah.
I don't know. God must be.
Well, you're getting antique furniture. That's why you're getting older furniture.
Yes, and of course, you know what? Like the settee, which was probably 90 years old, I knew when I saw it, I was like, oh my God.
So tell people who haven't seen the settee class. That was
Settee,
23
settee,
classes.
if you've seen the pictures on Facebook, this particular piece of furniture, about 90 plus years old, when I took it out of the house, the upholstery coils were hanging literally from, just
and we have pictures of that at the beginning.
Yes.
Of that.
I should have taken a lot more, but basically the only thing that was left was the frame and the upholstery coils. And it was, kind of Kevin and I were going, oh, here we go.
And a ton of knowledge in that. If you're for the person in Jamaica, if you really want to be introduced to something in upholstery that you're going to learn a lot,
oh my God,
that's a T class. Just buy that one.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many times during that class I was saying, oh my God, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Because we did, we had to do a lot more sewing, a lot more stapling, the technique of cutting the foam around and
right.
The
and it's kind of like knowing what to do, what the next step is in the order of the steps, and
yes,
when you have a piece at home, if you're just new to this game, there are a lot of newbies. I noticed there's a lot of new people making comments. If you have an older piece of furniture, you can reverse engineer it and learn a lot too.
Yeah.
And so that's a clue as to how to do things. But keep this in mind: if you do reverse engineering and you're cutting fabric, just to be cautious. You can't. When people upholster, they apply a piece and then they trim it down, so you're not getting the proper measurements on the fabric. So keep that in mind. So if you're gonna do patterns, you might want to add 3 inches to those patterns because they've been cut. They started out big, and that's one thing.
I'm one for giving a little bit more because of the fact that.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't want too much more, though.
No, I mean, but you know what? I think people, like you said in one of the classes, that when you start cutting fabric, I mean, there are some pieces that are just, like an ottoman. Okay, you do measure out, and you want to make sure you.
Right.
But when you have something like where it's a wing back or maybe even a channel back chair, it's always good to even 3 times. And
so you measured you cut the fabric for this.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that? And don't forget, you have a question from Sylvia.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you answer Sylvia's question? Why don't you turn it up again to show her the arm that Jimmy is going to do? Why don't you tell Sylvia what you're going to be doing on that?
Well, let's see. Let me get back to this. This is all horsehair here. This is going to be taken out, and this.
She's asking specifically about the arm.
The arm?
About the top of the arm, specifically.
The top of the arm is all wooden.
Yeah, but she's asking what type of panel are you going to put on. Do you remember?
I think we had the button.
Yeah. So, see that red mark I got there?
Yep.
Did you see that, Patrick? Do you see that arm where Jimmy is? You see that?
Yep.
What are we talking about, Jimmy?
You said from here.
We're not. Don't look at that. So
Okay.
what we're doing is what we're going to do on this is
Okay.
this is going to get a seam across here.
Okay.
This is not going to be here. This is going to be pulled over this way, Sylvia, and then Jimmy's going to make pleats to the middle here, and then he's going to put a big button, an upholstered button, right on the top there. So we determined that it did. Was it? Do you remember what it had before? It had a welting there, didn't it?
It did. It was all.
It wasn't really done. I got it. It wasn't really done well. It didn't look right to us,
Well,
so
I-
we changed the style.
I think because of the fact that they weren't thinking ahead, and they ended up with a lot of fabric, especially.
It
on
almost
this
looks
piece.
like they added it on because they were having problems.
Yes.
So one of the biggest things I was pointing out to Jimmy, and this is what you're going to get in the online classes that you don't get the YouTube videos, you guys. We've noticed a real slack off on the online. Sorry, but I might as well just mention this on the purchasing of the online classes. So if you've been enjoying the YouTube videos and you're getting something out of that, the online classes are 10 times more detailed. And this is one example. So we spent a lot of time on this, Sylvia, in the class. But, you know, transition, we always talk about transition lines more in your class than we do on the, as an example.
Okay.
So we were saying that there was a welting coming this way and a welting coming off another welting coming this way, which looked ridiculous. It almost looked like they were in trouble and they had to do something quick to fix it. This was hand stitched on here. So when you have a transition like that, it just doesn't look good. So we decided, and also what came into play is the size of this chair. It's a very scaled down model chair.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did, we determined that we don't want any welting or seam over here. We want it pulled over.
Right.
And that led to the pleats over here on the button. I think it's going to look terrific. I think we made a good
definitely,
choice.
Definitely a much more classier
Right.
looking chair because we're gonna have the deck and we're gonna have a little bit.
You have a
it's
down
gonna-
cushion.
Yep, and
Yeah.
we're gonna go to foam.
You're going to go to foam. Your customer wants the foam, right?
Yes, I suggested it because
he's a little calorie challenged and
well, you know what? I think when I looked at it, when I saw him get off the chair, I said, "This is really."
you saw the cushion that was down like this. Right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
thought, am I going to restuff this? And that's when you and I spoke about.
Yeah, he needs a little bit more support.
Yeah,
So that's good.
And of course, I think, like you say, this is just the bomb
Yeah.
right now.
So let me just check out. Oh, it's getting a little late, Jimmy. So I think
Is it past my bedtime yet?
I think what we're
Are
going
the
to
street
do
lights
is
on?
we're going to get to. Are there any emails, Michaela?
Yeah, there was.
Okay, we're going to get to Michaela's segment now, Jimmy.
What?
So we'll.
Oh, come on.
We'll be sending you a memo on your performance a little bit later.
You mean like a survey card? Oh, thank you.
You can sit down.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, kick me to the curb. Jimmy's done.
No, you did great. You always do good, Jimmy.
Oh, thank you. I try.
All right, Michaela, people say they love your segment, the YouTube reading, and they love Michaela's segment, which is the emails that we get from people for estimates.
The business side of
The
it.
business side.
The real business side of things.
So you want to...
Yep. It's that first and second email. There's only two.
That's all right.
So which one do you want to
Nicole?
do first? Sure. All right. So she says, I need cushions made for a convertible daybed I bought on Etsy. And she gives the dimensions, and 4-inch foam medium works best.
So just let me show people a picture of this. Sometimes I can't spend too much time on... She's just asking for foam, not anything else?
Well, that's why I wanted to, because you already answered this for how much it would be
For the foam.
for the foam.
Right.
So,
So read that.
because then she responded again, hi Kevin and Michaela, great. Does this include fabric or how does that work? How do I go about picking fabric?
Oh boy. So I think I misread it first. First of all, it sounded like she was just asking for foam prices. That's what it sounded like to me. So she's going to be surprised. You have to be very clear now. And I gave her a very reasonable price on all the foam. That $975 I quoted was for the 2 mattresses and the 2 backs. I must have been in a good mood when I gave it to her. But you're going to have to say, no, this is just the foam. And it sounded like that's all she wants. So she didn't even ask about the labor.
Yeah.
So you got to tell her, nope, sorry. You could say we thought that.
I did, yeah.
But labor, my goodness, labor for these two big and those two big, they're big cushions. So we're talking about 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, $1,100 labor plus the fabric, which is going to be. She's got some big cushions here. That one's 38 by 80, which
Wow.
needs 2 widths. That's just one. So that's, I'm going to say 5 yards on that, 4 yards on the other one, 9, and then another 3 each, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then she's got 2 back wrists. So 18 yards of fabric in addition. So, I have a feeling that with all these additional costs, that she may not do it, Jimmy. So we kind of I made a mistake on this estimate, you guys. So the mistake I made was that I thought I didn't ask her. Customers don't know. They just so I'll read this again. I need cushions made for a convertible daybed that I bought on Etsy, and I looked at the picture and it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I just assumed it was new foam. Shouldn't have assumed, right?
Never.
Now we have to give her all these other costs associated with this.
Well, I mean, you don't want to surprise anybody.
Well, you don't want to start low like that and then give them the bad news. You're better off giving them all of the figures first.
Well, rather say this is what it's going to take. This is what from the beginning to the end.
Right.
This is all that we need to do.
I mean, you could even apologize that we read it as only foam. You could even whatever you want to word it, Michaela. She's good at that.
Yeah, I did.
So.
All right, and then so the next one is that second one.
Is that from Elena?
Yes. Hi, we have 2 armless versions and 2 with arms, 4 total, of the dining chairs pictured. They have been in my family for a long time and we love them, but they are quite worn and dirty now from constant use. We are wondering what it would take to reupholster them. Thank you.
I mean, they look like Danish chairs, Jimmy.
Mm.
Just regular Danish chairs. I think they're a knockoff, but maybe not. So the labor is going to be $3.25 each, and 1.5 yards each.
All right, so how many total for fabric?
1.5, 1.56.
All
Okay.
right. Yep, that's it.
So Jimmy, that's it. Do you want
What?
to?
What?
Are there any questions, comments, or
Well,
anything?
you can't
Patrick?
leave now.
Before we-
I think we're good.
We're good. Jimmy, do you want to close this out, but keep it clean? Because remember, this is a family show.
Well, the joke of the day. Oh yeah. Let's see. What is it?
This is
a horse.
dangerous.
A horse walks into the bar, and the bartender says, "Why the long face?"
That's great. We're going to get comments from our horse people friends.
Well, yes, from the horse community, probably from Mr. Ed himself. Anyway, Kevin and I and crew would love to thank you for joining us again this week. We hope that we answered all your questions, and hopefully you'll be tuning in next week, and Kevin and I will be answering more questions for you and hopefully help you with your projects. All right, everyone, have a good week and take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Good, Jimmy. Jimmy's good, isn't he, Patrick?
Yeah, it was a good little speech there.
All that acting